All right, let's move on to Iowa. The fire alarm with 10 minutes left in the second half gave Kel'el Ware and Malik Renew the rest they needed, as the broadcast was saying. It was a crazy situation, but ultimately this was a crazy game. IU just really got out in front, and not only did Kel'el Ware have one of his best games of the season, but you saw Malik Renew really get basically anything he wanted down low, and then you also saw Trey Galloway be who Indiana fans have wanted Trey Galloway to be this season. Now, Xavier Johnson did some good things as well, and Gabe Cupps was good as well for what he's been lately, but I feel like it was the kind of trifecta of Galloway, Ware, and Renew, and also Mgbako as well. He did some really good things as well, but kind of the trio of those guys that really won this game for Indiana. Burke, what were your thoughts on the game?
My thoughts on the game, I mean, I saw a headline today from Zach Osterman. He's the Indy Star reporter for the Hoosiers, and it was it read, "For one strange night, Indiana basketball earned the right to feel good about itself again." And honestly, he summed it up perfectly in that sentiment. Like, however you feel about this program right now as a fan, however you feel about Mike Woodson at this point in time as a fan of this program, like, that win was a win you could sit back and appreciate. It's a win you should sit back and appreciate. The Hoosiers fought hard and more evidently wanted it far more than we have seen at all this season. This Indiana team has come out so flat at times, man. I cannot express just the difference in the caliber of effort they were bringing in this game.
Yeah, and you saw it from guys like Trey Galloway, who I pointed out earlier. He only had 6 points in this game, but he had 4 rebounds and he had 12 assists as well. You could tell somebody like Trey Galloway in this game, he really wanted it every single time. And I felt like Xavier Johnson was giving a whole lot of effort and doing some good things as well. Now, obviously, he's a little sporadic, and I know that's kind of a hot take because Indiana fans have all of their thoughts and feelings about him, but hey, he didn't get a technical foul, okay? And at the end of the day, he turned the ball over, only 5 times. So, right?
Dude, hey, let's start with Xavier. My thoughts on Xavier Johnson is his PR team, whoever made the decision to go 2 long sleeves, loose long sleeves, great decision. Great decision, because I'm so simple-minded. I'm such a simple-minded sports fan. I saw that, and I'm like, who's this guy? Who's this new guy? Who do we just get on this team? He showed up. His demeanor was entirely different. He swallowed everything that was coming his way. And you know what? I respect the hell out of it just because he's trying. He's showing an initiative to change what was happening. And I respect him for that. You know, the very second he comes on the floor, he commits a turnover in the first possession. The first instance of him having the ball in his hands, there's a turnover. Goes on to have 5 of, I think, Indiana's 12. And you know what? Indiana won. I'm just going to say, Xavier Johnson, there's still time to turn this around. I appreciated the effort he came out with, like so much the effort, just as the reservation. And you know what? We can build on that, and we can finish the season strong. And his story can end better than we all thought it may have, at in the middle of this season.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting with Xavier Johnson, right? Because you don't want to see the 5 turnover games. Obviously, I'm kind of making jokes there about only 5 turnovers. You don't want to see that. However, there is a sense of aggression that you get from this team when Xavier Johnson is in the game that you just don't get when Gabe Cupps is out there handling the ball. I'm not trying to be a Gabe Cupps hater or anything like that, but let's be honest. Gabe Cupps is one of the worst point guards in the Big Ten. Now, he's a freshman, so let's give him credit, for how young he is and things like that. But at the end of the day, he does not have the aggression on this team that Xavier Johnson does. And Xavier Johnson pushes the ball up the court more, and he gets the guys running and doing those things that Gabe Cupps just isn't able to do. And I feel like when Indiana is aggressive in playing their game, not reacting to the other team's game, that is when they're at their best. I felt like that's what IU was doing when Wisconsin was coming back. They were kind of playing Wisconsin's game, just kind of being defensive. And then when they came back from that fire alarm or whatever you want to call it, that's when they started getting aggressive and they were playing their own game again, saying
divine intervention. It's called divine intervention.
Exactly. But I mean, when IU has good backcourt play. I mean, the front court play has been there all season long. Malik Renew and Kel'el Ware, they've been there all season long. That's who you can rely on. But when the backcourt play is at least moderate, that's when you see the best version of this IU team. Because when IU was playing Penn State the other day, they had no backcourt play. There was nothing about that backcourt that looked comfortable, that looked like they wanted to be there, that looked like they knew what was going on. I mean, there were points where it looked like they didn't even know the plays that were being played. But when you have backcourt play that is actually manageable and able to do their job, Kel'el Ware and Malik Renew are able to be who they're supposed to be. So, Burke, let's get to this question really fast because I know this is a hot topic amongst IU fans and just kind of Big Ten basketball. Is Indiana's season Mike Woodson's fault? Obviously, IU fans are not happy with what's going on, things like that. Your point of view, is Indiana's season right now Mike Woodson's fault?
Well, it's not his fault because he doesn't take the shots. He doesn't shoot the free throws. He doesn't miss he doesn't commit the fouls if you ask him. Man, I feel I'm torn in half about all this. And I have to imagine there are a lot of Hoosiers like me, but there are very loud Hoosiers who are very decisive one way or the other. And this season, man, it's a combination of trusting everything in Xavier Johnson's hands. It's the roster construction. It's an inability to get something out of these guys. And at the end of the day, you can look at the free throw percentage. It's just everything, man. It's death by 1,000 cuts with this program right now. And who else can you look to but the head coach to put that on? I mean, yeah, the players' effort sucks. We need a guy who can get some effort out of our players. It's just frustrating where thank God he was able to sever that losing streak at 4 games. But it just boils down to him just having an inability to get this out of these guys consistently. It's the defensive effort, man. Indiana's defense. Sorry, I'm going right back to the game. You're talking about the season as a whole. Like Indiana's defense in Madison was allowing 1.4 points per possession. In Indiana, they held it down to 1.11. It's just that. Like Kel'el Ware, his huge night scoring. Like what was more impressive was his 5 blocks because just Wisconsin you saw every single shot they had taken. Even if he wasn't near the shot, he affected it. They were taking moonshots and just sending them with a prayer. And they were making some of them to their credit. AJ Storr had a few of those, but you see at times what this team could be, how this team should be affecting offenses, what opposing offenses shot selection should look like. It shouldn't be prime 3 after prime 3. Like Kel'el Ware was able to have the opposition worried about going on the inside because he was just swatting everything back. And that allowed the perimeter to lock down more than we've seen it all season. And it's all of these things that would think would spark change in a program. Mike Woodson he's some of the greats, they have to be a little stubborn to get there. And he's been pretty stubborn in just how he's been managing this team, man. He just doesn't come out looking to make changes to address anything after at times it is. I've said this over the course of my show just all season. It is insanity. Where he is going square peg, round hole, square peg, round hole, square peg, round hole. Hey, guys, I promise this will work this game. Square peg, round hole. And it's ultimately, if it's his problem or not, something needs done, something needs addressed, something needs changed because Assembly Hall needs to stay Assembly Hall. Indiana needs to stay Indiana. Yeah, people can say, oh, if you fire him, who wants the job? You need somebody who's willing. You need a psycho who's willing to take that on. Indiana, yeah, we're quick to fire somebody because we have a lot to lose. Look at the support that this program has. You can say, yeah, we haven't won shit, which we haven't. We haven't won shit. But this team somehow is able to routinely become competent enough, competitive enough to keep that fan base coming. if enough of these seasons are strung together in the, instant gratification time we are right now, that will go. That will go. You can't just rest on the laurels of 76, of like 87. Like, you can't, because there's a whole lot to lose. And you know what? All these programs can say, Indiana, who would want that job? Who would sign up to just be fired immediately? And it's, if you had everything to lose like we do as far as basketball goes, you would do the same thing. And it needs addressed. It needs changed. Or if Mike Woodson's not the one to do it, something needs done.
Yeah, no, I think you make a lot of good points. I think
Sorry for the rant.
No, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad that we're getting kind of the IU perspective, because it's been a lot of different places this season. Like you said, there's people who have very strong opinions on one side and then on the other side, but then there's people like you that, like, you kind of see both sides, but you still have a strong opinion and a strong affinity for the team. And so you want the team to be successful and do what they need to do as well.
I'm not sorry, but I'm just cutting you off one more time. I'm not saying like Indiana, like we deserve a quick response from a coach,
right?
But I'm saying we objectively have the most support out there. We objectively need better. We objectively can't let things spiral. That's the whole basis of where I'm at on Mike Woodson right now.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody would argue that IU doesn't have one of the most rabid fan bases in all of college basketball. I mean, the Hoosiers are the Hoosiers, and the fan base is the crazy fan base because they love their basketball team, and they want to see a winner, and they want to see success for their basketball team. I come from probably the craziest, or one of the craziest, football fan bases in all of football. And it's one of those things where, like, you love it and you hate it sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's like, anybody who takes the job is going to have the ceiling of, like, the highest, best fan base out there, possibly, because if you get this team winning to the level that they, the fans believe should be winning, then you're going to have the most support in the world. And Mike Woodson had 2 good seasons previously, but both of those good seasons were led by a player in Trayce Jackson-Davis. And that's the part that I feel like this season Mike Woodson has not been able to replicate. He's not had a player who's been that on-court coach, who's been that on-court motivator for these guys. Kel'el Ware, for as much as I love his game, the dude is very quiet, does not show a ton of emotion, which is fine. Not everybody has to be, the way Trayce Jackson-Davis was. But that's really hard when the leader is the one who's very subdued, not a whole lot of emotion. And Malik Renew, like, he's very good and he's able to do some of those things, but I don't think that he has the comfortability of a guy like Trayce Jackson-Davis to be that leader yet. And I think some people this season, whether fans like it or not, some players this season was looking for that guy to be X. They were looking for Xavier Johnson to be that guy. And unfortunately, Xavier Johnson has just not been that guy. He's been erratic. He's been crazy with the technical fouls and things like that at one point this season. And now he's not even starting. Now, granted, that's because of injury and stuff like that more than, I think Gabe Cupps being a better player, but still, like, it's hard when that guy is not in all the time with the team. And so I look at this season, and I know from, like, an outside perspective, IU fans are probably going to tell me, JR, you just don't understand. And that's fine. I understand. But from an outside perspective looking in, I look at this season and I say, this was a season where Mike Woodson just completely botched the backcourt construction of this team. He trusted Xavier Johnson, and as much as that was a bad decision, I don't know if I would have made a different decision. I probably would have rode with Xavier Johnson too and said, look, this is my guy. I'm going to ride with him this season, and I'm going to do what we have to do in order to get him win. And I would remind IU fans, many of you believe that Xavier Johnson was one of the best point guards in this league coming into this season. So many IU fans were obviously not complaining about this decision by Mike Woodson. And unfortunately, 1, he's had injuries, and 2, he's, like I said, been a little too erratic in his nature. So I don't put the entire season on Mike Woodson. I do put an aspect of the roster construction because I think you needed a better backup point guard than a freshman in Gabe Cupps. But I also look at it and I say, I don't think it was the worst decision in the world to trust Xavier Johnson. Do you agree, Burke?
No, man. Like you just nailed it. I honestly believed at the very least this would be the most just stifling defensively backcourt in the nation, which it hasn't been, or in the conference. I mean,
yeah.
Like I thought X and Trey heading into this season was just going to lock down the opposition, but yeah, honestly, we made this bed. We have to sleep in it. I was on team, Xavier Johnson all the way. Of course, like I didn't open my mind to other possibilities like I now have to from here on until the end of time. But yeah, it's just a shame to see how it all went down. Here's hoping that his story is yet to be done in Indiana and we can turn it around and have some fun here to finish it out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And I think next year, if Mike Woodson makes it there, which I think he should, and I'm not saying that anybody's wrong. I understand the people who are saying it might be time for Mike Woodson to move on. I get that. I don't agree with it, but I get it. I get where you're coming from. I do think that give Mike Woodson this time, let him go into the portal. He just got Kel'el Ware out of the portal, turned him into an NBA prospect when he wasn't that last year at Oregon. He was a 5-star, but Oregon wasn't getting out of him what Mike Woodson has been able to get out of him this season. You have Malik Renew coming back. Hopefully, you have Trey Galloway coming back. Hopefully, I know some people are speculating on him. However, if you can bring the right guys back and you can bring in 1 or 2 transfer portal guys, I could see a good season for IU next year.
Yeah, man. If we can just transfer in a backcourt, if we can keep Trey, for some reason I hear rumbles of people saying Trey's getting offers from other people, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. I imagine whatever he's getting offered, there is a homer bonus that a bunch of IU fans would be willing to give. But it's yeah, man. It's. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
You're good.
Spaced out there. God.
You're good. No, it's wild to think about, and obviously it's nobody wants to think about next season at the end of this season. However,
Thank you. I
Yeah.
was saying sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Go ahead,
man. Whenever you are out there shopping for a backcourt, which Indiana absolutely has to do, we have to go find some shooters. The idea of a backcourt, pitching that with the front court being Malik Renew, McKenzie at the 4, and Liam McNeely at the 3, like that's decent. That is a very tantalizing proposal for who may consider themselves out there one of the key point guard transfers. So I'm gonna optimistically head into the transfer portal and hope to God Indiana can figure it out.
Yeah. Listen to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.